So you own your own business. Got small ambitions for this business? Of course you don't. Got medium ambitions for this business? Of course you don't. Who has medium ambitions? You got big ambitions. If you're a growing business with big ambitions, you want to grow with Grainger. Grainger has the products, the services, and more importantly, the commitment you need. Total commitment. If you're a growing business, Grainger's got your back. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the MLW Radio Network. The following podcast is a presentation of podcastarena.com and GOW Media in association with TJ DeSantis Productions, LLC. This is the Bischoff on Wrestling podcast. Bischoff on Wrestling. Now, alongside 120 Sports and WrestleZone.com's Nick Hausman. Here is the former WCW president, WWE Raw general manager, the New York Times best-selling author, and one half of Bischoff Herbie Productions, Eric Bischoff.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Coming to you from Cave Creek, Arizona. A beautiful day in so many ways. I'm Eric Bischoff. Welcome to Bischoff on Wrestling, the podcast. And joining me, Nick Hausman from Chicago. Nick, how are you faring today? You've had a rough week or two, bro.
Man, yeah, no kidding. It's been an emotional roller coaster here in Chicago, Illinois. Of course, the Cubs won, and we all partied for about 7 straight days. So my liver took a toll. And, you know, we're all riding that high. And then, of course, last night, you know, Chicago, not really Trump territory. Of course, he pulled out the W this time. They flew the W flag for Donald Trump. So, my friends, man, it's, you know, pile of beer cans in one corner, pile of tissues in the other right now. It's quite a scene here in Chicago, Illinois.
Well, you know what? We've got Hulk Hogan coming up later on the show, and Hulk knows Donald Trump fairly well, has spent some time with him. So one of the things that we'll do is we'll ask Hulk how he feels about the WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump as president of the United States. That's going to be kind of awesome.
My question for you with the Trump win is, how does this affect pro wrestling, Eric? How do you see Trump as president? How does that affect the business? Does it affect the business at all?
Well, I don't know for certain. Obviously, I'll just tell you what I hope. You know, what I hope is, like Trump has talked about many times, you know, deregulation. You know, making it a little bit easier for small businesses, for entrepreneurs, and that involves also small independent cable companies, just to make it possible for people to try and build small businesses. I think is a great thing in general for everybody, and certainly for professional wrestling, because with vertical integration and the fact that, you know, there's basically 3 companies that control all media or some variation of that, it makes it really hard for independent producers to find their niche. So I'm just hoping in general the idea of deregulation, or at least lightening up on certain regulations, makes it easier for more people to be entrepreneurial.
Wonderful. I'm going to go back to that here in just a second. I got one more follow-up, though, before we throw to our first sponsor, is Monday Night Raw. Does it kick off with the classical music montage package, WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump, now president-elect? Is that how you see Monday Night Raw kicking off?
I'd love to, but I honestly think there's so much divisiveness in the country right now, and there's so people reacting so emotionally because the politics as of late have all been based on identity and emotion. I think cooler heads will prevail, or more calm heads, I should say, and just let some healing go by before anybody rubs anything in anybody's face. I doubt it. And I would imagine Donald Trump's going to be a little bit busy trying to figure out how to become president of the United States and build a cabinet.
I don't know. Maybe he just wants to drop by Monday. Maybe he's like, I got 72 days, guys. I can spend one day on Raw. I don't know.
Well, let me tell you what, Nick. I know I owe WrestleZone.com a story this week, and I've potentially waited until after the election was over. But I've got a very great story, and the premise of the story is how Vince McMahon and Donald Trump together, by what Donald Trump can learn from Vince McMahon, can heal the divide in this country right now. I think you'll find it really interesting.
I know I will. All right. Well, I've got one more thing I want to talk to you about, and of course, we got your interview with Hulk Hogan on the horizon here. But I want to show a little love to our first sponsor here. Of course, if you listen to the show regularly, you know we've been talking the praises of Blue Apron for a long time right now. And if you're someone that likes to cook, doesn't like to cook, is interested in learning how to cook, Blue Apron is the service for you. Head on over to blueapron.com. Sign yourself up to have 3 meals a week sent right to your house. Now, these meals aren't going to come, like frozen food style, prepackaged, all that, with all the, additives and things thrown into that. You're going to get a box of fresh ingredients from Blue Apron and the instructions on how to take those ingredients and cook your own food at home. You're going to be sent the pasta separate from the sauce. You're going to make your own sauce. You're going to get all kinds of pork, beef, chicken, everything in between sent right to your house, and you're going to learn how to cook this food right in front of your family, friends, and anyone else. You're going to be very impressive in the kitchen. And if you all would like to try Blue Apron, you want to go out, you want to get this sent to your house absolutely for free, head on over to blueapron.com and use the promo code EricB. That's the promo code EricB, and you're going to get 3 free meals sent right to your house. So you can try it out, see if you like it. Blueapron.com, use the promo code EricB to get 3 free meals sent right to your house. All right, Eric, we don't have much time here, but forgot to bring Hulk on. But, you're talking about small business. You're talking about Donald Trump's effect on the business of pro wrestling. There was this story about a week ago I wanted to bring up on the show, and that was that the White House was interested in having non-compete clauses removed from independent contractors' contracts, making it easier for them to jump from one company to the next so that they can continue working and hopefully grow the economy. Now, you are synonymous with the non-compete clause, I feel like, Eric, for your ability to get wrestlers to show up in WCW so quickly after they'd wrapped up with other companies. For you, when you hear a story like this, what do you think about the idea of the non-compete clause being a no-no anymore in the United States?
Well, it ties into what we talked about with Donald Trump and what I hope is going to happen with Donald Trump as a president. You've got to keep the federal government out of business. The federal government can't manage the federal government. They certainly can't manage the Veterans Administration. They certainly can't manage Homeland Security. They can't manage a post office. The federal government cannot manage business. And I think the less federal government that exists in business, the more business there is going to be, which means a better economy and more jobs for everybody. That's the essence of what the difference between a Donald Trump and a Hillary Clinton or a Barack Obama. And as far as the White House trying to determine what kind of business structure should exist contractually, especially as it relates to something like professional wrestling, is just freaking mind-boggling to me. How anybody thinks that ideology is a good idea. Whew, okay, I'm done.
All right, there it is. All right, guys, you know what? There it is. I just want to get your take on the non-compete thing because I did have people ask me about it. Now we have it. It's all out there.
Now, what do you think, Nick? Do you think that's a good perspective or not?
No, you've sold me on the fact that I don't think the government should really be affecting small business. I understand, we've had talks about it. There's a reason non-compete clauses exist. They were put in there. As a wrestling fan, I'm going to say, yeah, get rid of them. Who doesn't want to see, somebody, Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw, pop up on a Ring of Honor or some other nationally syndicated television show? It's very appealing. But I'm also for smaller. I'm small government, socially liberal. So I guess that's kind of Gary Johnson, but anyway, different conversation for another day. Johnson, a little too much baggage there for me as well. But no, I'm not too far off the base with you. I don't think the government needs to be interfering with small business. So
all right, we're probably losing the audience here. Let's jump into something fun.
Hulk Hogan, ladies and gentlemen, the immortal Hulk Hogan will be up in just a moment. But Eric, tell us all about Dollar Shave Club.
Dollar Shave Club. I actually had to throw a trim on this morning because I've been so busy the last couple of weeks, especially the last 4 or 5 days. I haven't gone near a razor blade, and I woke up this morning and I look like a grizzly bear coming out of hibernation early. So reached into the drawer and found all my Dollar Shave Club accoutrements and trimmed up the beard really nicely. Had some great soap. Body wash, got to tell you, body wash is awesome. I walked out of the bathroom with a robe on. My wife walked by and went, "Where you going, big fella?" So, yeah, it's all good, man. Dollar Shave Club. I got to love it.
Yeah, that soap you talk about that you're so fond of, it's the Wanderer soap. I love that. It's lavender, and it's got like an exfoliant in it, and it makes my skin very soft. I've gotten compliments.
No, it's not that I love it. It's my wife loves it. I love that my wife loves it.
Yes. I have women that like how soft my skin is as well. You're right? Tinder? Okay, Cupid? Anyone? All right, anyway. Anyway, if you are interested in trying out Dollar Shave Club, go over to dollarshaveclub.com/Bischoff. Again, dollarshaveclub.com/Bischoff. You're going to get your first month subscription absolutely free to Dollar Shave Club. Go check it out.
And as advertised all over Twitter last night and this morning for Bischoff on Wrestling, the podcast, my guest, one of my closest friends, if not the closest friend, none other than Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, how the heck are you, brother?
What's up, brother? You good?
I am all good. It's a beautiful day here in Arizona. I took the dog for a walk, did a little desert surfing, and it's a pretty good day. Coming down off my post-election drama from last night, kind of the roller coaster.
Vertigo. What's the thing called vertigo, man? The pilots get vertigo or something. They're all twisted up. Yeah,
you don't know, upside down from right side up kind of happens when you lose the horizon. Yeah.
Between the last couple of months of lawyers and legals and elections, and he said, she said. I mean, I like watching Jerry Springer now. It's kind of like watching Oprah on Sunday. It's relaxing, after watching all the politics. Jerry Springer is kind of calm, So, yeah, man, I'm still spun upside down from all the crazy. I feel like the NWO just took over America. Feels like.
Well, that's kind of a frightening.
I'm expecting to see like black and white coming up on the beach right now. NWO, it's crazy.
Well, it's funny you say that because Nick, my co-host from Chicago, is convinced that there is some kind of Illuminati connection between the NWO and politics. So, in his conspiratorial way of thinking, he thinks that there was some kind of big master plan with the powers to be, and I think you just fed Nick a little bit of conspiracy theory. Nick, are you on? Can you want to comment?
Yeah, I'm right. I'm right here, Eric. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, and this isn't something I just conjured up. I mean, I've had a lot of wrestling friends that are older now that follow politics that they go back and they look at the NWO. And they see certain symbolism, certain mannerisms and stuff, and think, was this the indoctrination of the country for the actual New World Order that is taking power now in the world?
Well, I don't know. I guess, Hulk, we kind of set the stage for Jesse Ventura. I mean,
dude, that's when it hit me. That's when it really hit me hard last night. I was sitting watching every heartbeat of what was going on, and when they were putting their finger on the map and going to the different states, and it was popping up red and blue, and they said, well, she could go this way, or he could go that way to get to 270, and well, then there's Minnesota, and then there's, it is Jesse Ventura country. When they said that is Jesse Ventura country. When they just said that, it made me realize that edge, that attitude, working the gimmick, that not happy with the Republicans, the Democrats, all the entertainers coming out and doing their thing, but not really hearing the voice that was really being yelled at everybody. When I heard that, I went, man, this reminds me of the NWO, because I didn't know if I wanted to be a good guy or a bad guy. I didn't know if I could survive, if I'd get booed or cheered, or if my merchandise would sell, this, that, and the other. And then this NWO opportunity came up, and it was like, whoa, even I get it now, that was something that needed to be done, and that's just what happened, man. It was all about the energy. It's pretty crazy.
Nick, you going to be able to sleep tonight?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm glad we're openly having this conversation right now. I mean, this is I feel like a conversation that's happened behind closed doors with wrestling fans for a while now about the NWO Illuminati ties that go together. So you're not.
Making it sound like it's bad, man. You're making it sound like it's a conspiracy or something, brother.
I'm just saying, Jay-Z, Diamond Dallas Page, both using that diamond cutter symbol there. We all know what's going on here.
Okay, I get it. You guys are going light on the surface. I was just talking about the energy, brother. I was just sitting back looking at the rooms and seeing where all the energy was going. I was following the energy, man. It's like Trump was on point, man. That's what everybody wants. Wow, it's a little wild, man. It's going to be a wild ride, new lightning bolt.
It's going to be a wild ride. And Hulk, Donald Trump. I mean, you've spent some time with him. What's your take on him as not as a president, but just as a person?
Well, I didn't spend much time with him. We were just around him for WrestleMania 4 and 5 when Vince went and did business there at the Trump Plaza. And it was, he did some press stuff with us. We said that. I think we did some contract signings or something, So it was more than just a casual passerby. And got to sit down and meet a lot of his, I can't remember if he was married to Marlon Maples at the time or who it was, but his family members and a bunch of different people. But, he's a good guy. Seemed like a nice guy, Really didn't spend enough time with him to know, what his integrity or what he was really like. He was just nice to everybody when we were around him. So that was it. I just really didn't get to know him, but he just seemed like a nice guy.
Cool. Well, brother, there's a lot of stuff I want to cover with you today while we have you. One of the things, obviously, I think the biggest thing right now going on in WWE that I think, the audience wants to hear your take on is Bill Goldberg. He's back. He's challenging Brock Lesnar. What's your take on that, man?
Well, once again, here I'm running around here all airy-fairy. My feet aren't on the ground. Like I said, between legal business and elections and all this crazy stuff, I haven't been dialed in. So my normal, one-dimensional train of thought as far as the wrestling, the way things should be set up, I wasn't even thinking anything like that. And all of a sudden I heard, Goldberg was coming back, and it just hit me. Well, nice surprise, big, main event, good for the business. People can't wait for him to come back. So I really didn't think too much about it, and then it caught me off guard because I was flipping to the channels and I heard Goldberg say, "Oh, I've already beaten him before. Think I can do it again?" And when it went in one ear and out the other, I wasn't paying attention, and I forgot about that. I forgot that he had wrestled Brock, so it kind of made me, not that that's bad, but if I'd have been in my wrestling mode, I would have been telling Goldberg, "Hey, man, when you do the interview, say he's been out of the game for a while. He said he's a monster, he's a beast. You don't know if he can do it. Just hope I can survive, but I got to test myself, da-da-da-da." But when I heard that, it kind of gave me a different look at it. And then the few times I have really been dialed in on it, they kind of went with that angle in a way. They kind of like threaded those original words to the storyline with Brock in some of the packages that Kevin Dunn and those guys put together. I kind of like saw where the original statement was threaded through, like, is it going to be 1-on-1? Can he beat him? And so I kind of get it, but it kind of caught me off guard. But I still think it's huge. It's main event. It's really, really good. I know Bill's going to come back in a really great shape, and now I want to see it. To see those two back in the ring together. But I forgot they'd even wrestled before.
Well, it was pretty forgettable. I was there, and neither one of them. Well,
damn,
no, I'm not saying. Look, both Brock and Bill have commented that they weren't happy with it. I'm not saying anything that I wouldn't probably share with them and not get knocked out in the process. Bill's been very vocal about the fact that he wasn't happy with the outcome of it. And I think, for me, one of the great things is this is a match that obviously they both really wanted to do, or it wouldn't be happening. And I think they both have a lot of respect for each other. And I think that they can both have a match that they'll both be far more proud of than they were in their last one, just based on circumstances.
Well, at the end of the day, if you're talking mechanics, the truth is Brock can work. He's got good timing. Everything he does looks great. I don't know if it hurts or doesn't hurt anymore, but sometimes it would hurt really bad, sometimes not. Everything he does look great. It looks great. Plus, he can work. And if Bill, I don't want to say just listen to Brock or listen to whoever, Patterson, whoever puts the match together, but if Bill's head is in the game, they should have a good match because Brock can work now. It's a lot different than it was. He's a lot better than he was 10 or 12 years ago. So I think they could really tear it down.
So that's kind of what I wanted to dig into with you, because we both know Brock and we both know Bill, and you're talking about two guys who are phenomenal athletes. Bill, in the NFL, Brock is an amateur wrestler, walked on, got a spot on the Vikings and obviously his UFC success. So there's no doubt that both of these guys are about as big as you can get as just pure athletes. But with Bill, here's my take. bro, here's my question. He's super intense. I think everybody that's worked with him knows that. He's super competitive. Everybody that's worked with him knows that. And he also loses his crap when he gets frustrated. He's got a short fuse. And he gets mad at himself. It's not that he's getting mad at everybody around him, but he puts so much pressure on himself that he can sometimes rush and force things. If he's been out of the ring for, call it 8-10 years, do you think he's going to be able to overcome that instinct to rush when his adrenaline gets pumping and get his timing back? Because it's timing, right?
Yeah, I think he can do all the above. First off, Bill's, a perfectionist. He's not going to go in there sloppy. He's a different person than he was before. I think a lot of it has to do with his focus. He's also got a different agenda now. He's got his wife there and his son there, and not that he's doing it just so they can see him in the ring. It's not that. It's a very important part of life that his wife and his son get to share that moment. If that's the only moment he's ever going to have again, it's a big one, or he may go do more. But it's really important that they get to, participate in that whole thing that's going on with Bill. And I think Bill's going to be calm and think through it. And, I think Bill is a different person than he was before. He understands the storytelling part of it a little more. And, maybe instead of jumping right up, he may stay down an extra beat or two. I think it's going to come together because neither one of these guys are slouches. Brock, like I said before, Brock is perfect right now. I wish I could wrestle Brock right now because he is so good right now. And his stuff is so believable. Whether he's won or lost, or they turn him into a monster, or they chopped him down and everybody beats him or beats everybody, no matter where he's at. He's perfect right now to tear the house down with. So I think they're going to do it.
When you look at Brock and Goldberg right now, and just, I don't want to say critical, but just being observant of the way they're setting it up and having a strong opinion about psychology and character, as I do, and I know you do. But my only concern is, not a concern, is that the right word, but my only note, I'll call it that. My only note right now is that I'm not sure which one of these guys is the good guy and which one's the bad guy. Who's the heel? Who's the protagonist? Who's the baby face? Who's the heel? I don't know. Do you think that they've done, and this kind of goes back to your first observation, if Bill would have come into this thing a little bit humble and, doubting himself just a little bit, creatively speaking, so that he set himself up as the underdog, do you think that would be better than both of these guys coming in with no clear distinction as to who's the antagonist and who's the protagonist?
Well, then you got to rewind even farther and say, did anybody talk to him before he did the interview? And did they okay saying, hey, I've already beaten him? Was that put in his head? If that was put in his head, before, well, then it is all part of the storyline, and, it is what it is. I think Brock right now is the good guy because, Bill sounded like he's a little overconfident for some reason. Brock's been there. Everybody's got respect for him. UFC, back and forth, all this stuff. Now, if Bill did it on his own and then they build into the storyline, it is what it is. But if they would have got if they'd have done the Kevin Sullivan old school, got in Goldberg's ear and, make an appearance, on ESPN, but have your son there and your wife there, and just out of nowhere, Brock is in the building to hear the announcement. And then they did a mercy killing with Goldberg and, did the coast to coast like Bordenhouse toast, like Albano, cut him from ear to ear and drug him around the ESPN studio, bleeding like a pig. Then they'd be booing the hell out of Brock, probably. Who knows at this point? Maybe another NWO angle, but it's hard to detect. But right now, no matter which way you slice it, I think that Brock is the babyface, man. He's just, from the Suplex City chants to him bouncing back and forth to, I heard the Goldberg chants, and it just sounds to me like Brock's the babyface.
What did you think about Bill Goldberg when he first came in? I think it was around 97. So obviously NWO was kind of rocking, a little bit, and things were going our way. And Bill was, he was straight off the street into the power plant. Do you remember? I don't, honestly. I can be honest about that. I remember first meeting Bill, and I remember first talking to Bill about coming to WCW, but I don't remember the first time I really saw him in the ring. Do you have an impression of that, or do you have a remembrance of that?
Yeah, but I gotta go back to that moment, because when I talk, people think I'm crazy. I think about him one way right now, and if you look back, whatever it was, 20 plus years ago, I can't remember how long it's been, but when I saw Goldberg, I was like, what's that tattoo doing on his shoulder? I had that type of attitude. I didn't understand even the tattoos back then that were starting to come all over the wrestlers. So it took me a while to figure out who he was. And then when I saw how you had him programmed to plug him in those perfect places, because the timing, like we talked before, you couldn't get into wrestling at a better time. And to have a rocket shoved up your rear end and the push of a century, it's the perfect place, and perfect timing. But as I kind of watched him and figured out what was going on, bang, right away. Like I say, I saw a huge dollar sign on his back, and I just thought, he'd be a great opponent, and he got over like crazy. So it took me a while to warm up, because I was pretty jaded by the old school train of thought in wrestling, to warm up to even any of these new guys. And then I kind of almost had to be convinced. And, as soon as I kind of woke up and saw what Goldberg was like, what he was really about, I looked at it strictly as business and said, man, this is a good thing for us. It really is.
Can you tell me, again, from your point of view, because, for mine as the guy that was running the company, my relationship with talent was what it was. It was business. I was office, they were talent. And there was still that kind of us versus them culture, and probably still is to a degree, even in WWE. But from my perspective, I saw when Bill started, really coming on strong, and everybody, including you, started looking at him and going, wow, this guy's good. This guy's great. There's money here. There's business here. I also saw, and I'm not going to name names because that's not what this show's all about, but I saw, a number of people who we all know started circling Bill and spent a lot of time in his ear. Do you remember seeing that and kind of going, oh man, this is going to get crazy?
Yeah, I kind of did, but he would listen to guys, and when I had any business with him at all, it was real easy just to get him to look directly in my eyes, and we'd talk, and it was straight, so it never really affected how I worked with him. I saw everybody else trying to yoke him around and explain to him how great it would be to get beat and all that kind of crazy stuff, and whatever else they were trying to get him to do, sell for him or whatever. But, his character and the monster he was, it really didn't affect that, because I was playing the chicken shit heel, and so it made it real easy for me to explain, you go forward, I back up. Just listen, it'll be great, So it was not a problem for me. I did see people, bending and twisting, and some of the guys, don't want to name names, some of the guys kind of like had a little bit of agenda. They were dying to get in the ring and look good with him, so a lot of guys just wanted to be his friend. So it all, I saw it going on, but it was just part of the business back then.
Hog, I've told the story a couple times before over the years, but I think it really is timely to bring it up now. I got a lot of criticism, or I have over the years, and questions, some of it not critical, but a fair amount of criticism for putting you and you and Bill, in a main event at the Georgia Dome instead of putting it on TV. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, bro, because I've said this a million times on this show. People remember stuff that I don't remember being in the building, but they remember specific detail. After 20 years and then through thousands of matches and TV shows and whatever, it all kind of blends together. But I remember specifically where I was driving in Marina Del Rey when my phone rang, and it was you on the other end, and you said, brother, I've got an idea. You've got to put me and Bill in the main event at the Georgia Dome and let me put him over. Do you remember that phone call, or am I imagining this stuff?
That was for Thunder, for Thursday Thunder. Wasn't it for Thunder?
I'm not sure if it was Thunder or Nitro. I just remember we were at the Georgia Dome. We were.
Yeah, I remember it was my harebrained idea because, everybody says, oh, it should have been a pay-per-view, it should have been this, should have been that, but it was a situation where I was like caught in the good Hulk on one shoulder and the evil Hulk on the other shoulder, the evil Hulk on the other shoulder, where half of me was going, oh my God, all the Goldberg chants were starting to mount up. Just let him get to a fever pitch. He can be a bigger heel than ever, doing the Bobby Heenan, holding the ears, running around, And then on the other shoulder, I was going, man, let's get this belt on him right away, because I've been just dragging this belt around, and we need to get it on a baby face. It's over. My God, let's build ourselves a superhero and get this on a baby face right away so we can start chasing him and draw some serious money. And that was a not thought through decision at all. I just called you up panicking, thinking I had this great idea. I don't know if it should have been thought through, or we should have. Everybody says we should have built it up more instead of having half the Georgia Dome. We should have done the whole Georgia Dome. Who knows? But I was just twisted up because I was panicking because I heard all the Goldberg chants. I knew how easy it was to run around with the belt and just act like the chants were driving me crazy. But I also was worried that this was the time to make the pivot, the transition, to switch the belt. And I was panicking. I was afraid we'd miss that moment, And I knew Georgia Dome, it was his home, it'd be hometown advantage, it'd be electric. If the reaction would be better than anywhere else I could think of for Bill, because that was his home. So, yeah, I remember the call. I remember calling you.
And you know what, bro? I defend that decision, and I wasn't looking at it the same way you were, although in part I was. But and by the way, so the audience listening, because a lot of people like to read into things, and 3 days from now, I'll be reading something that I supposedly said on the internet that I never really said. So let me be clear. The decision to put that match in the ring was my decision. Hulk called me, and he was passionate about the idea, and I could tell he was really excited about it. But I looked at it from a completely different point of view. I looked at that idea, Hulk, your idea, and your reasons for wanting to do it, which I agreed with. We did need to put that belt on a babyface. It was really over. But that wasn't the only reason I got excited about it. The reason I got excited about it is because it fit into the formula that made Nitro so successful from the very beginning, is put some of your hottest stuff on television. And at that time, things were so competitive, and we were starting to lose a little bit of ground, that the minute you painted that picture and your psychology behind it, which I thoroughly agreed with and do to this day, if the situation was exactly the same, I would make that same decision right now. But I was looking at it like, okay, not only does Hulk have a great idea, not only is the timing perfect, not only is everything else perfect, but it makes Nitro really important. And that was the formula that got us to the dance. So I appreciate it. I know people second guess things all the time, but like I said, if I had the same situation right this minute, I'd call it exactly the same way.
Well, a lot of people don't realize, man, when you're one of the main heels, well, the top heel apparently, if you're the world's champion, and you got that catbird seat, and the baby faces are getting over, and you can hang on to that belt and just duck under the turnbuckle, and they draw back to hit you, and slide out of the ring when they go to kick you. And you can draw money, run around. Well, maybe not draw as much, but you can run around with that belt forever. And, you can get beat every night and say you never got beat. It's just so easy. But the other side of that coin is when it gets like that, that means you got one or two really hot baby faces, in this case one. And I was just afraid if he didn't get the belt, he didn't get the shot, and I didn't know how many more people he could cut in half with a spear before we'd start losing them, So that was my main thing was, it was greedy. It was business. I thought, boy, if we put this belt on Goldberg, this is really going to get easy, So it felt right, man. It really did.
Well, and it helped put Bill Goldberg on the map. He was already on his way, no doubt. But that was the one thing that I think, when you put that belt on Bill Goldberg in front of 60 or 70,000 people in the Georgia Dome, there's a reason why people keep asking me questions about that match, and because it left a really strong impression. And I think in part, helped get Bill to the point where he is today, which is in a pay-per-view and a main event in WWE, 12 years after he's been in the ring. I think it's awesome.
The thing is, I'm going to be watching this one. I'm dying. I'm dying to watch these guys get in the ring together. I mean, it should be a blast. There's certain people that have their matches in the UFC, or certain people that have retirement or one-time only matches. The first match, I'll tune in to see it. But I definitely want to see what these guys are going to do, because hopefully, this will be keep you on the edge of your seat, and hopefully they'll move into the third one. But I don't know what Bill's desires are. He's saying, I saw his promo the other day where he said, "You're next and you're last." So hopefully his son will have a blast at the wrestling matches and won't let him get back out of the business again.
Yeah, you know how that goes. It's the last one until it's fun. Then I want to do another one.
Yeah, but it's not even having fun for Bill. I'm saying if his boy has a blast and gets into it, he'll talk his dad into staying a lot longer, which I think would be really cool. I'd love to see him hang around for a couple of years and really, really tear it up.
Let's talk about the influence of children on the parents of wrestlers. Brings me to TMZ. Brooks talking a lot about launching a wrestling company, man. What's up with that? I'm kind of curious.
Brooke needs to get the big yellow boot to the head. She's got something going with Johnny C. I'm not sure.
Johnny Caffarella.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Jimmy Hart's still involved. I don't know. Because, Jimmy's known Johnny forever. And somehow or another that the original Wrestlicious idea got revamped and shot of adrenaline, and, John Travolta back to life several times, and all of a sudden, bunch of the girls, Piper's daughter, Diamond Dallas Page's daughter, Jean-Claude Van Damme's daughter, a bunch of daughters are all together, and they're going to do some type of wrestling thing. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it's a pilot or a bunch of shows, but I haven't got the inside scoop on it. I keep asking Brooke how it's going, and she's telling me, everything's going good. We had another meeting, and then I'll look at the social media, and there'll be some bar somewhere headlocking each other and throwing each other around. So I don't know where that's going, but she's up to something, So I don't know if it's going to be 8 episodes or a pilot or what, but I know they're moving forward on it.
I know you don't get around much to the indie scene, and I do very little, but it's interesting. If you're going to start a women's wrestling league, if anybody is,
we got to back up, because I know if I don't bring it up, nobody will. So anyway, Brooke running around on TMZ, and the statement she made about me and wrestling and WrestleMania. For the record, like I said, she needs the big boot to the head. I haven't talked to anybody about WrestleMania, so that I just need to put that to rest. I asked Brooke, I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, I'm just stirring it up." I said, "Thanks, Brooke." So it was kind of funny. I said, no harm, no foul. It was all in good fun.
Well, now we address those rumors, and you're right. I wasn't going to bring that up because I just
I know, but brought up TNZ. We had to say something. Come on.
All right. Well, I didn't mean to push you into that corner because look, business is business.
I read
sometimes
on social media right before I came on the show. Somebody on Twitter was going, "Hey, EB, Eric Bischoff, ask Hogan about what Brooks said on TMZ." I read it right before we called.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Well, going back to the indie scene, let's just say that Brooke is involved, or somebody else, anybody else. There's a Netflix series now on the old Glow program. So there's a series coming up in production on Netflix. Actually, Chavo Guerrero is kind of like a stunt coordinator and, the wrestling expert on that show. And it's a scripted show. But let's say there's a resurgence in women's wrestling and somebody decides they want to launch a wrestling league. From my take, the biggest challenge is talent. I mean, there's a lot of guys around the country, on the indie scene, but there's a, much smaller percentage of women. Do you think there's enough women out there, that are diverse enough and proficient enough to start a league today, or do you think it just be a short-term thing?
No, I think there's a bunch of women out there, man. I mean, even just watching the Performance Center, just getting people in there that really never had, exposure to the wrestling business or minimal exposure, or even if they are passionate about it, just how quick people come along. And I know there's there's safety first and all the WWE stuff, and they make sure that, they learn their licks and they learn, they get their chops right, and I don't mean Ric Flair chops, but like playing guitar. They have enough seat time that everything looks smooth. That sometimes these indie girls, where they're training in these different, wrestling schools, they learn a lot quicker, and, if they've hit the ropes for a couple of days, they may not spend the next couple of weeks, or I don't know the protocol with training at the WWE, so I'm talking out of school, but all these indie girls have learned, a lot quicker just by getting in someone's backyard and having matches, and just learning how to do it. So I think there's a ton of talent around. And, I'm not sure, what the demand is, or, what the market value is for women's wrestling. It stands alone. I just don't know if it's Glow or something like at WrestleLicious, or I just don't know what that is worth in terms of TV money. I don't know what it means.
That's the biggest challenge right now, is finding a network that's willing to spend the money, because television networks in today's economy and just the way the business models are, it'll be a challenge if anybody's going to tackle it. But hey, Hulk, before I let you go, a couple things real quick. I'm going to see you this weekend. I'm coming down. In fact, I'm leaving tomorrow, coming down to Clearwater. There's a big event there. It's called Rush Club. It's a CrossFit competition. There's a lot of adapted athletes there, athletes that have lost legs and arms and so forth in the military, and they're all going to be competing. So I'm coming down there to be a part of that, and looking forward to hanging with you. And I'm coming out for Christmas. The Bischoffs and the Hogans are going to be spending Christmas together. And I had this idea. Actually, I think it was Nick Hausman's idea, that I'll bring my podcast equipment with me. And if we have a couple Christmas toddies, maybe we'll read our favorite Christmas stories on a podcast. That sounds like fun, right?
Ooh, yeah. Do it.
Thank you so much, Hulk Hogan. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend. And hell, maybe we'll even be able to put together those Christmas stories, a special Christmas edition of Bischoff on Wrestling the Podcast. Who knows? Anyway, Nick, I see that mailbag. It's over in the corner. It's getting full. Let's empty it.
Absolutely. Yes. Just like Santa's big bag of presents here. We got a big bag of mailbox questions. And I want to thank everybody out there, by the way. We've been using the hashtag Bischoff on Wrestling from the beginning, and we slowly were getting more feedback in this last week. And maybe it had to do with our partnership with MLW Radio, props MLW. We just got a lot of feedback. So if we don't get to your question here this week, you're on the list of Bischoff on Wrestling questions. And we maybe we'll do a catch-up episode where we go real deep into the mailbag. But today I got 4 questions here from the mailbag. The first one here is from Pomatsky Nick, and he wants to know, Eric, was Lee Marshall really calling collect from the city where the next week's Nitro was going to be?
No, he wasn't really doing that. He was calling collect from an office down the hall.
Oh,
but,
man.
Hey, it's the magic of television, man. That's why television is so cool, is you can make people believe just about anything you want. Television and politics, that's why they go hand in hand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love the finite, detailed questions we're getting into here, the longer the show goes on. There you go. Lee Marshall has now been addressed. We go to @JulianBell97. Eric, what was your thought process behind the LWO group with Eddie Guerrero?
Actually, that wasn't my idea. I supported it, and I advanced the idea and executed on it. But the idea literally came from my business partner, my now business partner, and then friend, Jason Hervey. And I was in LA, and I think Jason and the company he worked for at the time, called Mandalay Sports Entertainment, which, by the way, Mandalay Sports owns a part of the Los Angeles Dodgers and all kinds of other big stuff. But Jason got really excited about, obviously the NWO was hot, and it was really his idea. And he laid it out to me one day. We were having lunch. I think I was in town for a meeting in LA. He laid it out to me, and I went, wow, this could be awesome. So that's how it began.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the LWO name, actually, there's like a group, a clique down, I think, around in Puerto Rico and Mexico that still roll with the LWO name. Obviously not licensed or anything like that, but it is still very much alive. It holds a warm place in their heart. I know a few of those guys. Shout out to the other LWO. At App State Alum 05, Eric, what is your favorite Sting moment or match?
Oh, I don't remember specific matches in a lot of great detail. There was a moment. I remember it was a vulture. I think it was a trained vulture that came down to the ring and landed on a ring rope. And I remember, I was supposed to interact with this vulture, and of course I was scared to death of it. But it's really easy, by the way, to be afraid of a vulture. You don't have to be like a method actor or anything like that, because you see vultures far away and it's like, that's a big ugly bird. You see one up close and they are really big ugly birds, and this thing just looked like it wanted to eat my fist off my arm. So just use that whole Crow character and some of the crazy stuff that we did. But that moment where I had to interact with a vulture in the middle of the ring was a highlight of my life.
Whose idea was the vulture? Was it yours or Sting's?
I don't recall, brother. I couldn't tell you.
Oh man, I don't know. In my head, when I think of trained animals that I want to bring into entertainment, vultures, that they've never come on that list for me. I don't even know. Like, who do you contact about a trained vulture?
Oh, there's vulture clubs all over the country. You just got to Google them.
They sang Karma Chameleon, right? The Vulture Club.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. You can't swing a cat by the tail without hitting a vulture if you really want one.
Jesus. TJ DeSantis, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Last question here from Saint DX Reapers. He wants to know, Eric, with the Undertaker's return coming up, he is returning, by the way, this Tuesday night on SmackDown 900. Edge also returning to SmackDown this Tuesday, doing the Cutting Edge with Shane McMahon. There you go. See, full promotion mode there. With the Undertaker's return coming this Tuesday on SmackDown, do you see him doing another Mania match, or do you see him doing maybe more than that?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know him at all. I think I've talked to him a few times, and when I worked at WWE, but never got a chance to really draw a beat on him in terms of what he's about. So I don't know. I got to tell you, for my take, I can't see why he'd want to. He's made a lot of money, and he's going to make a lot more money just off of the things he's already done. So it wouldn't be about the money. It's all about, I think it would all be about whether or not he's just still has that passion and likes to get out there on that stage. And it wouldn't surprise me that that's the case, because that happens. It happens with musicians. It happens with wrestlers. It happens with, fighters. It's not unusual, but that would be the only reason I think that he would, is just because he digs it.
Did you ever get to work with him when he was meeting Mark Calloway in WCW or elsewhere?
No, he had already left WCW before I got there.
Okay, just wondering. All right, well, that ends the mailbag for this week, guys. Again, I want to encourage you to continue to send in your questions, your comments, # Bischoff on Wrestling. If we didn't get to it this week, we will get to it here another week, and we've talked about doing longer, all full-on mailbag shows where we do nothing but field your questions for Eric. So continue to fill that mailbag up. But that does bring us to the end of the show here this week. Guys, if you want to support me, Nick Hausman, I'm at WZ Rebel over on Twitter. Leave me a note over there and follow all my stuff. Eric, anything you want to leave the fine fans and listeners out there with for this week?
No, unless if you're going to be in the Clearwater Beach area, come on out and see the Rush Club competition. It's really an interesting thing to watch and a motivating thing to watch. Where you see athletes from all ages, all weight classes, all abilities competing in some really, really intense competition. And again, you see, adaptive athletes get to participate. It's very, very inspiring. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to have a lot of fun stuff going on. So it should be a fun fall.
Yes, and real quickly, mutual friend, I do want to give him a quick plug. This Friday on Podcast Arena, the umbrella here, we had the Kevin Gill show. Our buddy Kevin Gill, he debuted Monday, but making his podcast debut, back from the old radio days, now to podcasting, Bill Apter with his new podcast is Wrestling Fixed. That debuts this Friday, and our good buddy TJ producing this show, you heard his voice, he'll be working on that show too. So be sure to check that out. It's got, He's got audio from like the 70s that he recorded on cassettes and then transferred to reel and then to digital. It's very different than a lot of the other stuff you're going to hear out there, guys. So just wanted to give Bill a quick shout out there. Go listen to that. So anyway.
Yeah, by the way, I want to jump in on that one, bro. Bill is a super guy. I've known Bill since the mid 80s, late 80s, and I guarantee you are going to have a century's worth of phenomenal content to play with.
The preceding podcast was a TJ DeSantis production.
I'm Bob Ruff, host of the Truth and Justice podcast. Each season on Truth and Justice, we reinvestigate a wrongful conviction cold case. Our investigations are shared on the show in real time, and you actually participate in the investigation. Season 3 has just begun, so this is the perfect time to get on board right from the beginning of a brand new case. Search for Truth and Justice on your favorite podcast directory and start listening and participating today. Start on episode 301, Murder on September, to join in on the investigation.